That's indeed a very good question. So we use the combustion engine technology right now, just because it's the technology that knows everybody. So it makes it also very easy to use for most people. Regarding the NOx, yes, there is NOx, but we are way below the limits of stage 5 genset right now. So we could bring it to really almost zero if we would add an after treatment system with AdBlue on it. That should be possible, but of course that would add to the cost again. And our idea was always to bring a hydrogen solution as cheap as possible to the market, just to get the hydrogen market or the hydrogen products started.
Thank you, Jens. And Robin, anything to add there from your point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important to remember that NOx comes from high temperature combustion, which indeed hydrogen can form. So generally, NOx starts to form at flame temperatures exceeding 1350 degrees Celsius. But the NOx does indeed need nitrogen, 78% of the atmosphere involved within the air intake on any combustion engine, as it combines with the oxygen at those higher flame temps. So remember that diesel or petrol as well have a flammable range of around about 1.7 to 7% in atmosphere. Otherwise, it's too rich or too lean to combust correctly. Whereas hydrogen has a much broader flammable range, so 4% to 75%, 77% potentially. And this then means, of course, that remaining fraction has less nitrogen in the remaining air mixture. So it is possible to calibrate out using instruments and control technology. But as Jens already identified, the NOx limits, and I can give you some statistics if you want, the NOx limits are a fraction of what the stage 5 equivalents are. So just taking for a moment the maximum permissible NOx limits on, let's take one E45 generator, so 45 kVA, 36 kilowatt hours. This places it in the NRS or NRE V3 bracket range for stage V emissions. Now, dependent on whether that's a spark ignition engine or a compression ignition engine, then you have a limit of either 2.7 grams of NOx per kilowatt hour or 4.7 grams of NOx per kilowatt hour, depending on. And this effectively means our RDE power unit, and I'm just going to double check the reference figures here, will deliver less than 0.2 grams per kilowatt hour. So it's a fraction of, without any abatement, without any SCR treatment or exhaust gas recirculation, it already delivers less than 10% of the maximum permissible limits for stage V, or stage 5 if you prefer. So at the moment, as Jens identified, it can be worked around, whether you use oxygen purification on the inlet and eliminate nitrogen from the airstream, or whether you use post-combustion processes like AdBlue or EGR, then ultimately it's only going to add cost for what is otherwise a very negligible amount of NOx as it stands at present. I would imagine in time, as we progress through the UNEC standards, then inevitably, and hydrogen drivetrain technology, whether it's combustion or fuel cell, becomes more widespread. And do remember that there's a very large place in the transport space for combustion engine drivetrain hydrogen technology. Then inevitably, these emission standards will become more and more stringent. And as they become more stringent, then it may become necessary to start to introduce AdBlue. Remember, when the Euro standards were introduced, I'm going to go back on, I say 1996 now, I think, AdBlue wasn't a thing. That didn't actually become a thing until Euro 4, around about 2007, 2006, I think. And then it became a requirement. 2004, in fact, were the first drivetrain AdBlue technologies here in the UK. So to answer your question, yeah, hydrogen internal combustion engine, yes, it does produce NOx, but the NOx is negligible and it's far below the limits defined by the current emission standards for diesel and petrol equivalents.